Hey, it's 7 o'clock on a Thursday, and not just any Thursday. We're talking about episode 10 of This Is It on the last few hours of 2020. What springs to mind, Mitchell?
What springs? What a very, 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 I'll say it one more time, very different year this has been. I
Indeed.
think it'll be a year that goes down in history, and I'm sure it'll be taught at schools as well. It's been a challenge, I think. Generally for everyone throughout, and I hope I just hope that 2021 brings some joy and happiness to some people, or to everyone included who struggled through this year as well.
Okay, Inessa, what brings to mind?
I'm just gonna say in positive note, it was like big challenge. And as I know many people, I'm just gonna talk about positive side. This year, this challenge make them to find out the new hobbies, new professions, realize themselves in something, try themselves in something different. So it was quite interesting year, which makes people to think how to survive or how to do something different, or maybe some people even start to do what they like to do. I know it's difficult. It was difficult. It was suddenly difficult, but the people change.
All right. So we're going to talk about today maybe making things better and how we can go about doing that. See you in about 30 seconds. So here we are, and we're talking about New Year's resolutions tonight, and do they work, right? But first of all, do you have, Inessa, a New Year's resolution for, as soon as the clock strikes midnight, that's it, you're getting into it?
You know how it works with me. I always have some resolution. I'm the person who likes to plan every single day, every year, every month. I like to plan. But when I do my planning or my resolutions to achieve that plan, that goal, but always maybe because I'm too spontaneous person, doesn't really work that way, which I plan to do it. But I'm easily adapt to the new one. So literally, I just make kind of resolution. I put the plan how to achieve that goal, but if something change, I'm easily can adapt to the new routine and the new plans. Yeah.
So do you have one resolution that you could share with us?
This past year, actually, I had resolution because I purchased courses, NLP coaching 2.5 years ago. I used to read a lot about it. I used to study, but I never pass exams or something like this. So this year helps me to achieve.
And have you got one for next year?
I got some few different courses as well, because it makes me feel very interesting in that subject. And for now, very interesting to study.
Okay, so you're into the courses. Mitchell?
No, I'm not really someone who does New Year's resolutions, in a sense of I like to set some goals, but not just because it's New Year, just generally. The New Year's resolution thing, I've known so many friends who have, I'm going to start training, exercising. And within, I'd say midway through January or maybe the end of January, I'll speak, oh no, I'm busy, I'm tired. So I'm not, from my perspective, no, it's not something I do, no.
Right. And what about you, though?
I was going to say, Dove.
So generally speaking, I don't I make them kind of think about them. I don't particularly make resolutions because I'm kind of making resolutions all around the year, right? So I'm kind of thinking always about new things around the year. But I thought this year specifically that it's a kind of a time for reflection. There's all sorts of different times in the year for me that I make kind of reflections on, you know, what I've done, what I want to do. But I thought maybe this year, learning from 2020, this year, what I want to go in forward to is being more selective, being more able to say no, minimizing, if I can, the amount of pressure or stuff that I put on myself. I mean, I don't know if I'll be very successful at that, and that's the one thing is, I mean, do New Year's resolutions work? I mean, does it work, or is this a lot of nonsense?
Well, can I just let me just say something? I will be watching with eagle eyes to see if you initiate these changes, stuff, because I've known you a while, you know, and you are a very, very, very busy individual. Always helping, always. So it'd be interesting. I will watch and we can reflect next year.
Well, the odds are not looking good because we found out that studies show that 60% of us make New Year's resolutions, but only about 8% of us achieve them. Well, I mean, that's 8 in 100, right? Only. So, I mean, what's going on here?
Well, I tell you, in that eight, you're saying 8% only achieve them.
Yeah.
Inessa's one of that 8%.
No, but also I think the thing is because I never do actually talk about resolution, but I never done resolution like for whole year because I don't understand how people can plan something for all year because you can change and have every day. I'm more person resolution every day resolution or weekly like resolution, but I think sometimes it's not. I mean, yeah, I'm thinking sometimes it doesn't really work because people can't predict what could happen or what will happen during all this year or what can happen tomorrow and after tomorrow. And I think sometimes people when they make these resolutions and plans, and if the plan's not going how it has to go, the people getting frustrated and angry, but because not many people can adapt easily and just change the plan or something to do different.
I wanted to say, I just wanted to say, I think the idea of starting the year with a goal, you know, New Year's resolution, let's just say a goal, and so, you know, for some people it might be less alcohol, whatever the goal is. I think, you know, the idea of it is a nice idea, and again, I think what Inessa was saying is, again, you know, adapting your idea and changing it, and maybe because again, so many different things happen, you know. I guess really, what is it that makes people not continue with something they've wanted to continue? That's the part I guess I'd be more interested in.
Okay, so we're going to talk about that in a second. Avril's coming in saying good evening to all of us, which is great. Great to have you here, Avril. And we've also got Susan Cohen coming in. So hi to you. That's wonderful. Another new viewer, which is really great. And we're going to have a special guest on tonight to help us discuss the business of why is it that only 8% manage? What is going on that people are just not very successful in, you know, they make a resolution, like they have a goal, they want to do it, obviously, I would imagine, if they're going to make a goal in the first place. But, you know, by February, if that, they're well off track again and they're not really there. So as soon as our guest is ready in the green room, we're going to bring him in to help us discuss this. So let's just see if he's ready. Okay, so we're not seeing him.
Not just yet.
Okay, so what do you think the problem is?
Well, I guess one of the problems might be how much you desire it, really. Really. You know, having a quick sort of like, oh, yeah, okay, I'm going to do that. You know, there's a difference, I guess. And also, I think they say that regards to things that you're looking to achieve, goals, if you're writing it down each day and reading it each day or reading it out loud each day, just reinforcing that. And maybe, I don't know, maybe even get a little video of yourself at the end of the year, like this year, tonight, a video stating to yourself why you want to achieve this goal, what it is you want to achieve from it, what's so important about it. And then when you feel yourself sort of drifting down, maybe just play it.
All right. So that's an interesting thing that you've kind of, so
see if it inspires.
It's like accountability to yourself.
Yeah, a bit like, do you know what, Dove? I'll give you an example. A bit like if someone goes out and has a bit too many, and the next day when they wake up, did a video of themselves, how they felt, what they truly felt. And then when they were going out again, if there was a little reminder that suddenly that video popped up and they looked at it, it would actually reinforce how they felt, and probably they would make a different choice. That's my belief.
But also, why you have to wait to New Year to do resolution? Like, I really like how you, Dove, said you do every day some kind of resolution, or every month, or all the time when it comes to you. So why do people wait that resolution? Why they wait for New Year or for Monday or whatever? Because I'm thinking if person truly want to do something or want to achieve something, they have to do. I mean, I understand sometimes it's difficult to start to do it, but it has to do just from now. Okay, I decided how much I want. Okay, and they're just gonna do now, and it doesn't matter. Maybe just one day before New Year or 2 days before New Year.
Dove, I just wanted to ask you a question, Dove. You know, with regards to New Year's resolution, when did that? How did that? I'm just curious because I don't think I did. Where did it start, or how did it start? Because I'm curious about that bit really as well.
Okay, so I've got absolutely no idea.
That's good to hear. Yes,
I've got no idea.
Does anyone know? Anyone watching?
Yeah, if there's anyone watching that knows where that comes from, that might be quite interesting. I've got no idea. But, you know, just as a kind of a guess, you know, the end of something, the beginning of a new year, that kind of idea of change. Well, I think Norman is ready to come in now. So, hi, Norman.
Oh.
Wonderful.
Hello, Norman.
So, what we're discussing, Norman, is, you know, why do people, only 8% of New Year's resolutions are successful, are achieved? And what we're kind of trying to work out is why that is. Why most people actually by February or before that don't actually even get towards the goal. Avril is saying January is a bad month to start a diet. Why is that, Avril? Why is January a bad month to start a diet? And she's saying to you, good evening, Norman. So great to have Norman in as a guest. It's the first time we've ever had a guest on This Is It.
Yep.
And hopefully not the last. So, somebody else is coming in. Oh, Avril's saying it's too cold to start a diet.
It's too cold.
And our research department.
Is that my music that's playing?
Come up with some information regarding your question, Mitchell.
Oh, okay.
Mitchell asked, you know, what's the origins of this whole business of making New Year's resolutions? So we're going to see what others come in with first, if anyone wants to come in, and if not,
then, about that 8% number.
Then we will reveal why where this comes from. This whole business of New Year's resolutions. But Norman, what we're trying to get to the bottom of is why only a few people are actually successful with this.
Well, I'm surprised that it's 8%. First of all, I think that's incredibly high.
Right.
Knowing how we lie and cheat to ourselves at the best of times, anyway. So it's very curious, because I don't think I agree with you. I think that a New Year's resolution at January.
Sorry, Norman, to disturb you. I'm getting some music coming in.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to see what's going on here, because I think it might be me.
Okay. So that would be interesting because it's kind of in the
I
background.
thought I thought New Year. I thought it started already. The music. I was expecting dancing and
Fireworks and stuff.
fireworks. Yeah.
I'm
By the way, you know it's already New Year in the Southern Hemisphere, in Australia, New Zealand. They're already in 21.
Happy New Year.
So Happy New Year to them. So we're asking our viewers if they know the origins of New Year's resolutions and what they think about why people are not successful with New Year's resolutions. And that could be people, it can be organizations.
Mm-hmm.
It can be, it doesn't have to just be individuals. Why is it that people come to the new year, they want to change their life, obviously, but within a couple of weeks, it's all down the Swanee. Mitchell, what do you think?
Why do I think it happens?
Yeah.
I think.
Well, you said people are not really serious.
Yeah. Well, it's not even. I don't think it's. I don't think I mean serious. What I mean is, it's like anything. If you if someone really wants to achieve something, I guess it's really what's the motivating factor. Is it because it's New Year and every New Year I do a resolution, and every New Year I don't succeed, but I'll keep doing it. Just hopefully one year I'll get to that. And again, most people, for a lot of people, I think that when you talk about dieting, it's because over the Christmas period people tend to drink and maybe eat a little bit more, and then in order to resolve that and feel a bit better about themselves, they set themselves a goal. And it might be a goal that's maybe just, I guess, like anything, set a goal that you can reach,
right?
Even if it's just a small goal. It doesn't have to be. I'm gonna. Yeah, realistic. It's more about realistic goals. I think sometimes people set a goal that's unrealistic, and the idea of it sounds good, but once you get into the nitty gritties of everyday life, it seems to fall away.
Okay, Norman, what do you think the reason are people are not actually accomplishing their goals?
Well, I agree with Mitch in many respects because I think people. I don't think any goal is sustainable. It's hard to have a conversation with somebody that you continue the next day. So to come up with an idea is paradigm shifting as a diet or something, you're going to lose that 20, 30, 40 pounds, these 2 stone that you put on, and it took you 40 years to put on, and you're going to lose it in 40 days. Yeah, that's great. That's an unattainable mountain. So I think first of all, and also I think that giving yourself a resolution that keeps on giving every day is a lot easier than giving yourself a challenge that you have to do every day. For instance, 4 or 5 years ago, just at the beginning of the dawning of the Black Lives Matter and the anger in the streets in America and all of the things that were getting dialed up, there was a lot of tension, and we were spending time every winter in Florida, and we were walking around in Florida. I saw a sheriff's car, a police car, and these guys are loaded with a shotgun behind the seat. Now, I mean, these are dangerous places. And he's sitting outside a Walmart, and I'm in no mask, of course. And my wife and I, Linda and I, walked over to the car, and I said, "Excuse me," and he said, "How can I help you?" And I said, I wonder if you would help me fulfill a New Year's resolution." And he said, "What's that?" And I said, "Well, I've resolved that I'll never, ever pass a first responder, whether it's a policeman or fire brigade or whatever, a first responder, somebody who's helping me in a challenge, without acknowledging them and being grateful that they're there. So I acknowledge you, and I'm grateful you're here, and I hope you have a safe and wonderful day and a wonderful new year." Well, I don't need to tell you, the ice was shattered, and he was so grateful and he was so happy. We tried it again the next day in a Starbucks, and there was a policeman there, and he was and he had his name, and he was at the counter, And I said the same thing, and he looked at me a little bit odd, because these people are on guard. They're, but I'm a benign little invisible Glasgow 1947 guy, so it's all good. So he says to me, and I tell him the same pitch. He spent 20 minutes with us. At the end of the day, he hugged Linda. He told us that he told us his whole life story. He told us he was going through a difficult marriage. He hadn't seen his kids, and he had lost his mother. This man turned out to be a Jewish man in the Boca Raton, a big, heavy-duty policeman. And he said, I'm going to Shul to say Kaddish that night. Now, the power of that resolution has stayed with me every day. And every day I wave to policemen, I go up to them when I see them, and I do it 2, 3, 4 times a day, every day. And that's the kind of resolutions I think we should be trying to create and design for ourselves. And I don't, and I practice that with the ketone regime, the ability to do a 10-day of something every day at the same time, every day, that made you actually feel better as soon as you did it, which to me is the greatest New Year's resolution device that you can apply. And whatever you're going to do in your life, whether it's lose weight or whether you can do it a hell of a lot easier if you start off your process with something that you drink that actually changes how you feel, how you believe, how you behave, gives you energy, does these things. And then you can go back to your list if you have such a thing and see how many you can convert from 8% to 80%.
Well, I'm totally blown away with that story. And you've just given us a segue. We'll come back to that human side behind, and maybe that is a bit of a secret in how we can all keep our resolutions if we kind of attach ourselves to the emotional side of the goals, to the purpose side of the goals, to what's a little bit more than the actual actions. But since you mentioned ketones, which is one of our sponsors, we just want to show you some information for people who might not know even what ketones are. So we'll see you in a couple of minutes back after this.
You look
We have the only naturally fermented ketones on the market. Okay, we know that they raise up in the blood more than anything else. But what do ketones do? Well, there's a number of things to do. Number one, we like to think of ketones as in-depth signaling molecules, okay? So what do I mean by that? They actually trigger a cascade of processes to occur in your body, okay, that help you to be optimized. Ketones appear to help muscle. They actually help trigger muscle to build and repair and recover faster. Ketones are a elite fuel source for your brain. In fact, if everyone here were to take a package of ketones and a serving of sugar, your brain would prefer to use the ketones over the sugar. KetoNat yields more energy per ketone molecule than glucose does. So that's why when you take it, you feel like you have a bunch of energy, because ketones are the ultimate source of energy, the ultimate fuel source, right? They also are a more efficient source of fuel. One of the things we do in our research laboratory to test that is oxygen. So the more oxygen you need to burn a fuel, the less efficient it is. We actually, when we put people in our lab and we give them KetoNat, they use less oxygen to use ketones than they do to use carbohydrates. Why is that important? Let's say that you went to elevation. Let's say you went to Colorado where maybe it's elevation and harder to breathe. You wouldn't need as much oxygen to use ketones. So you wouldn't be as out of breath. So that's an extreme example of like the need for oxygen to use fuel. You really know when you're at elevation, right? So that need is less with ketones. They're more of an efficient fuel. I know obviously the big question is how does it impact body composition? There's a number of different ways. that it impacts body composition. It makes us more satiated, so we're not as hungry, so we tend to not eat as much. It also makes us happier and more energetic, so we want to exercise more. It also helps prevent your muscle from being lost when you're dieting, because most people, when they try and do fat loss diets, they lose muscle and fat, but ketones spare muscle. So that's a general overview of Keto Nat, and I would say why it's so special.
Okay, so very interesting information there. And going back to what Norman was saying earlier, just a second, we've got some of the Facebook users just come in and said, love that resolution. It comes from that what Norman was talking about. It comes from your true values and based in compassion. You see the results and that spurs you on to do it more. Thank you. Yeah, getting back to that, Norman, just taking the elements and we kind of deconstruct it a little bit and look at the elements of your resolution, and maybe that will give us a clue to what could help us actually keep our resolutions. Mary Grace Diane Luzon is so happy to make it on, and we're happy that you're with us too. So one of the things that our viewer says is that your resolution was full of value, was full of compassion. It had, a sense of that emotional attachment. And, how can we apply this to our own goals? That goal of yours was to go up to each responder and to thank them, and that it's a wonderful thing, and you've continued to do that, and it's been a number of years now. So what else can we use as motivational elements to these resolutions or goals that we want to make for ourselves, whether we make them at New Year's time or whether we make them in the middle of the year? What other elements can we add?
Well, first of all, I would like to thank you and quickly open the stage because I got in late. So I'd like to reintroduce me to Mitch and to your lovely hostess. Yeah. If that's a politically correct way of saying it, so that I can call you by name. Hi, I'm Norman. Nice to see you. What other things can you do? Well, I think personally, I can only judge. I've been a huge believer since just a year before emigrating to Canada, when I was a young fella of 28. I started a journal, and I had my 2 young children and my young wife, and I started a journal. I think it was June '76 or something like that, and I started it by saying there is no time, and that there is only now, and that once you understand that the results, the actions of the present moment are the only real thing that you have any kind of reality with. And the problem with now is it becomes then very quickly, instantly, in fact. So we're always in a constant stage of now, near, next. And I was saying to Linda last night that it's a bit disconcerting, a bit uncomfortable, sort of, to have reached a point in my life where I feel so well, so happy, so accomplished, so rich, so abundant, so without want, so without need, so without, and only a constant sense of now and who's with me. And it's become so intense at times that I feel as if I'm going to explode. If I didn't have Linda and I couldn't express it, and if I didn't speak to my kids, and if I didn't speak to my grandchildren, I didn't express it to people who know me and don't really think I'm some kind of head case that is living in a world that is, and then I describe the alternative world that people live in, and I said, I was explaining this to Linda last night how I felt, and I said, we are at a point where we have the privilege of being in and having a speaking part in our own lives. And as long as we understand that our privilege is the fact that I heard Mitchell speak the other day about going to auditions. Every day is an audition, and the most important person you have to pass the audition with is yourself. If you don't pass the audition with yourself, if you don't think that you're playing the best part that you can play, if you don't think that because we're all pretending. And what I realized that the quest of a nowist, a person who lives in the present, somebody who practices nowism, who really, the quest to arrest that moment in time called now, that it's an exercise in futility. All you can do is be in it. And it's what you do within it that you do it. So writing it down in my diary triggered me off to the notion that if you write it down, you can convert a desire, a dream, a thought into a reality by writing it down. So the most functional thing about New Year's resolution is perhaps the prompt for you to actually sit down and write it down. And sit down and do an assessment, do a self-discovery on yourself, be able to build a plan, a strategy looking forward by going into the future. Go 3 months. What's going to happen 3 months from now when we get back, please God, to work and everything comes back to normal? And we have to be responsible again for our actions. We could look at the world and say, oh, what a terrible thing. We're all locked up, but Bob Dylan said, people are crazy, times are strange. I'm locked in tight, I'm out of range. I used to care, but things have changed. Well, things have changed. And
They have indeed.
And I've got, and to prove these points is I found I got a letter from my brother-in-law who sent me a book he'd found that was written in September 89. And it's from my mother, Dov's grandmother of a shawl. And it's a trip back to the UK, left Toronto after a delay in 4 hours. I was lucky. I was in a wheelchair. Poor Philip was standing all the time. The flight was good. Elsie and Jackie, Dov's mother and father, met us at Presley Airport, took us to see the sea. Philip was pleased to see the Ayrshire coast. That's what our life is. It's an uncanny miracle that we're here at all. So saying to a first responder, I'm glad you're in my movie. My goodness, if you weren't in my movie, what would be happening right now? I'm so glad you're in my movie. I couldn't be in it. I could have picked a better cast than this. Who am I going to pick? I'm going to pick a guy, who has 4 generations of soldiers in his life, who is saving lives every day with processes of psychological first aid. With 2 beautiful people here who I believe are both actors of sort, but certainly adding significant value to people to get the message that this is it.
Absolutely. Mary, Diane is coming in with, she is going forward with empathy, personal growth, spirituality, freedom and integrity. That's what she's moving in to next year with, and loves the idea of being an active participant in her own life. Mitchell, what is the secret of being able to keep the goals that you want to plan for yourself?
Well, after listening to Norman, and I guess it's something with value and truth, value and truth, and the fact that, I mean, listening to what Norman was saying, going up to first responders, you know, be it an ambulance driver, policeman, fire, whatever, and doctor, nurses who are dealing with so much and stuff like that, showing your appreciation for people, just the fact of showing appreciation, or even the simple act, which you used to get a lot of, and it's not the same as it used to be, of just saying hello to someone. Hello,
Brilliant.
how are you? You know, just that hello. The thing that you do more of when you go abroad, because it seems to be more of an acceptable thing, and you just say hello to people. Or, I mean, I know Norman's in Canada, I was in the States, and every time I went into a restaurant, good evening, how are you? Conversation, how are you? There was a long conversation. I don't experience that as much, and that's not putting anything here, but I don't experience that as much here.
Inessa,
You know,
Inessa, I mean, what do you think needs to be added in order to be able? You're a person who's well accomplished, and you make a goal, and you actually do it. So what's the secret? What is it you need to add ingredients to these goals to make it
I think
happen?
it's like passion and love, and also when the people have some resolution or set up the goal, they have to ask themselves why they need this, how it will beneficial for me, for my family, for other people, how much it will be ecological, this goal, because we can make any different, even bad goals as well. So I think it's very interesting statistic. I just don't know the numbers, but sometimes people, they quicker achieve their goal if they try to achieve for loved one, for someone. Like, for example, mother do something for daughter, daughter for family or loved one, or just for people generally. The people put someone in their head, like, I have to achieve this one because after I will help, if I achieve this, I will help other people. This is, I think, is drive people. They really can drive people to do some, like, to achieve some very good goals.
Right. So our amazing research department, now that we've got, we're becoming so important, so big. This organization of This Is It, that we have our own whole big research department. But they've come up with a quotation from Einstein that said, "We cannot solve a problem on the level of consciousness that created it." And so that kind of hints to us that if we want to change, then we have to change that level of consciousness first. It's no use being in that same frame of mind. And Forbes came up with kind of 3 reasons why people are not keeping their resolutions. And the first one was that your consciousness needs to change. So you've got to have a different mindset if you're going to go out and try and change your behavior. It's not enough just to say, well, I want to do a diet, or I want to do a course, or I want to do whatever it is I want to do, if you're just using that same mindset. And the second one actually is interesting, because that's what Mitchell brought at the very beginning of the show tonight, which is, if you don't have an accountability structure, you're not going to be able to sustain it. And even if, and I really liked Mitchell's suggestion, was because we usually think of accountability to others, but making that video of yourself, even if you don't show it to others, is that kind of accountability for yourself. So you can go back, every week if you wanted, and say, oh, look what I actually did want to do, because we're very easily forget these kind of things, especially if they're a bit difficult. And another thing that Inessa brought up, which is number 3 reason why we don't kind of carry them through, and that is, maybe we're kind of scared. Maybe we're not really, invested, because it looks a bit big, and we're not going to let ourselves go down that journey. And so getting back to what was kind of brought out in this program, I think, was maybe it just has to be little things. So, just combining what we've discussed tonight, that letter that Norman read out, and these kind of bits of information that Forbes brought in, it seems to me anyway that, first of all, it's the simple, passionate, compassion, valued things. Going to the beach, just seeing nature, the beautiful idea of people that are important to you. Whether they're your own family, friends, or even strangers, as in the first responder. Who do you know? They're people in uniforms going back and forward. You don't even pay attention to them half the time. But to go up to them, and you saw that policeman who almost broke down and said, oh my goodness, and he's going around like the big tough guy with a shotgun. But when somebody comes over and thanks him, he just melts on the spot. Because at the end of the day, we're all humans. We're all behind that mask of whatever it is, all basically looking for the same thing, which is, I think, attachment. It's good health and some sort of satisfaction that we're going in the right direction. That's the kind of thing that I kind of sum up from tonight. Inessa?
I just want to say, when you set up your goal, set up with your heart, and just see how you can spread that love with your goal, and just change your habits if you want to achieve it.
Wonderful. Mitchell?
I guess maybe you might be more achievable if it's not about you, if it's about someone else.
Oh,
if you don't make it about yourself, I guess being of service to others. Someone struggling to, simple thing like being on a tube, you're going up just about to go up the stairs, you see someone struggling with their bag, which I've done. You do it automatically. You help someone up, you give them a hand. Just being of service to others in whatever shape or form that is. Just being there for others. I think they're the goals that would be more enriching to you and the other person. So,
oh, wonderful. I think that's gorgeous. Get to Norman's in a second. Diane says that she will always be honored to play a supporting role in your movie. So that's great. And Nigel says, the only work, if you want them to, mine is to get to know old friends better. Well, that's exactly kind of fitting in with what Mitchell said, which is, not just about you, it's about others. And I think I really think that's a wonderful thing. Before we go to Norman's kind of summary, I want to go back to that idea that we asked, which is, where does all this come from? Well, Neville came in with ancient Babylonians, and that kind of sizes up with what our research department came up with. And so we're basically talking about 4,000 years old custom, right? So, Norman, how would you sum up tonight's discussion on resolutions and why they work, why they don't work?
Well, I've had a fascinating, revolution, in the whole notion, and I'll go back to my idea of that there is no time, there's only now. So my immediate thought is that the idea of the resolution is a daily notion and not a yearly thing. I think I've seen enough in my life to realize that life is not measured in days, years, months, decades. It's just not measured that way. It's measured in breaths, seconds, minutes. You spend 3 minutes underwater and tell me how much a minute's worth,
Yeah.
And so every second that we don't do, it's the action, it's the doing. Don't wait, do it. You have to do something. Now, if you resolve to have a resolution, then do it. Write that resolution.
Committed action.
You have to commit to the action of the resolution without trying to create whatever the resolution is. The resolution is to do the resolution. What is the resolution? Then get a big blank piece of paper and just write, what is a resolution? And what do I resolve to do? What does it mean? I resolve to change. But I don't want to change. I like who I am. Okay. I don't want to lose weight. You know what the punishment of the paradox of the help that you get in Weight Watchers and Alcoholics Anonymous is the paradox is you have to admit that you're fat. I'm a loser, I'm a fat guy, or I'm a drunk, or I'm an alcoholic, or I'm a drug addict. That's the hardest part. It's like reading a book from the front. We should read books from the back because, I mean, you want to get to the point. You want to understand what's the point of resolution. So my feeling is, thank you for giving me the opportunity to try and somehow figure out what my next step may or may not be. Because we are all busy resolving to, I'm going to walk more. Excellent. Keep walking. I'm going to do more. Oh, yeah, and keep doing more. Well, maybe the resolution is not to do that. Maybe the resolution is I resolve not to have resolutions about things that I'm not going to do and punish myself for 92% of the time on the price of having 8% of actually doing something. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just improve my thinking about the things that I've not done 1% a day better. So I resolve to try 1% of a day better to tidy up my act, to get all of the books that I've been accumulating all these years again since we sold our house 8 years ago and moved. And I've got all these books again. What do I need all these books? And then all of the things, and all of the letters that I'm going through, and all of the stuff that we're living in, and reminiscence, and all of the pictures, and all of the regret, and all of the should-haves and could-haves. Get rid of all of that. That's my first resolution. That's all gone. That's history. Put it all in a box. It's all, God forbid, going to end up in the garage in a box anyway. So let's make it easy for the people we leave behind and organize our inventory. We should live our lives as if it's the first day of the rest of our lives, but we should be organized if, God forbid, it's the last. So we don't leave any of it, if my thought dreams could be seen, they'd put my head in the guillotine. Another Bob from the Book of Bob.
Wonderful. So this has been a bumper edition of This Is It, especially for the end of 2020. My little 2 cents is, when you're thinking about changing your behavior or doing something new, we tend to, look towards what we'll gain by doing it. I'm going to just throw in that we should also consider the cost if we don't. Just to remind us all, or to announce to everybody, at 11:30 p.m. UK time tonight, This Is It team will be getting together on Zoom, and will be on social media, of course, for a get-together Hogmanay New Year's Eve, getting into 2021 together. And you're welcome to join us for the party at 11:30 UK time tonight. So wherever you are in the world, wherever you're coming in from, you're definitely welcome to join. Just to finish off, Diane is coming in with Happy New Year to all of you. Indeed, Happy New Year to you too, and to all our viewers that have come in and commented and contributed, not just in the 10th episode, and we're kind of celebrating that, of course, with ketones as always, but with all the episodes, believe me, the support that we're getting, the viewers are going up, the views are going up, and we love it. So see you at 11:30 p.m. tonight, no matter where you are. In the meantime, this is it.
This is it.
This is it. Happy New Year to everyone. Good to see you.
Take care.
See you later.
Bye for now.
Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah,
Thank you for
thank you. Thank you for coming.
Wonderful. Absolutely.